A prefix is a letter or a group of letters that can be added to the beginning of a word to make a new word. By adding a prefix, the meaning of the root word is changed. Let's take a look at some examples. Here's the root word happy. We can add the prefix un to the start of the word to create a new word, unhappy. What about the root word lock? Adding the un prefix gives us the new word, unlock. In fact, the prefix un can be added to lots of words to give them the opposite meaning, or we could say, to create their antonym. But un isn't the only prefix that can do this. Take for example the prefix dis. Can you think of a root word that we could add after this prefix to change the meaning? What about allow? Adding the prefix gives us disallow, and again the meaning has been changed to give the opposite. Did you notice how the spelling of the root word hasn't changed? We've just joined the prefix and the root word together. Here are some other words that use the prefix dis. One of the challenges with prefixes is knowing which prefix belongs to which word. Take for example the root word active, meaning to move around lots. What prefix needs to be added to create the antonym, that is, the word with the opposite meaning? Here are some options. Dis, in, un, ill, miss. Each of these is a valid prefix that can give a word an opposite meaning, but only one of them is the correct prefix for the word active. To help us work out which it is, let's read each prefix out loud, adding the root word active, and hopefully one of them should just sound right. Disactive, inactive, unactive, illactive, misactive. Did you spot the correct one? Well, it's inactive. If something is inactive, it's not moving around much, or at all. I did say though that each of the prefixes was a valid prefix that could change the meaning of a root word into its antonym. We've already seen how in can do this, but what about the others? Can you match the correct prefix with the correct root word to create its antonym? Let's do what we did before and read each word out loud with each prefix to listen out for the one that sounds correct. Legible. If something is legible, it can be read easily. So what's the antonym? Dislegible, unlegible, illegible, or mislegible? Well, the correct prefix is ill, giving us the word illegible, which means something that can't be read easily. Let's look at the next one. Usual. If something is usual, it's the normal, expected behaviour. So the opposite must be describing something that's a little strange or odd. Which prefix does this? Is it disusual, unusual, or misusual? Well, it's clearly unusual. So that just leaves two prefixes, dis and miss. Our next word to focus on is appear. This means to become visible, so it can be seen. Well, what's the opposite? Disappear or misappear? Well, it's clearly disappear. So if we've got all of these correct, the final prefix miss must come before the root word behave to give us the antonym misbehave. Perfect. Prefixes don't always create antonyms, but they do always change the meaning of root words. For example, the prefix re means to do again, and it can be added to a number of words, such as rebuild, rewire, or rearrange. When working with prefixes, it's important to read each word out loud, listening carefully for the one that sounds correct. Chances are you've already heard it a number of times before. To work out how a prefix changes the meaning of a word, try using the new word in a sentence. It may well create the antonym, that is, the word that is opposite in meaning, but this isn't always the case.